Okay, today's video, we're going to talk about branded merchandise that you could sell. Basically, products that that are known by some sort of a name. They've been out there for a while. Word of mouth advertising has gotten the product name out there. You know, basically what we would normally consider as a brand that sells a product. How to take those and make quite a good return with PPC with the method I'm going to show you here today. Excuse me. So basically, I know you guys like money-making methods. So this is a method to make money, basically from start to finish. Turnkey way to do it. You don't need a lot of money to do it. You could start off, maybe some of you guys, a couple $1,000 is a lot. If it is, sorry, I can't think of a cheaper way to start a business that's going to make this kind of money this quickly for you to be able to do. If I were starting out from scratch again, all over again, I would strongly consider doing this myself because of the ease in which it is to start up, in which I know it works so well. I never had this exact method when I started out Guarantee PPC agency, and learned it along the way, just seeing other people doing this exact thing and making good money doing it. I will admit, each time that you do it, you're not going to make millions upon millions upon millions, but it can be also replicated and scaled. So for you guys who want something that will make more money, this is also a way for you to do it. That all said, there's definitely some pros and cons to selling a branded product that I'm going to get into. So maybe you do this, maybe you don't. For you guys that have less money starting out, this is a way easier way to get some money, and then you can do selling your own products, which is what the opposite of selling a branded product really would be. Because you don't want to sell a product that has no name and which you don't own, because I don't recommend basically doing that ever, like selling random Chinese crap, because you can get that crap on Amazon. Why would you not, basically? But so between selling a product that you slap your branded label on and selling what already has a label, I'll tell you kind of what is the best. Namely, you have less money, you sell somebody else's product. Why, if you really are starting out from scratch and you don't have very little money to work with, that will be the main way you go about doing it. As I mentioned on other videos, if you watch my channel regularly, then you'll know how much I downgrade the business model of selling someone else's product. Versus, at the very minimum, taking the trinket or product that you get from China, which China will slap your label on it and making it your virtual product, or you go to the manufacturer and you have them slap your label on it, even if it's a US manufacturer. These people will do this. In which I advocate not doing it, by the way, which is the reason for not, which you would want to sell your own product in which you could add your label to it, or you can add, eventually have your own design that's totally unique than anything else out there and also has your label on it, is because if you sell something that also somebody else sells, then you're spending a lot of money to get to that person to your site, in which, if you sell pottery wheels, they're typing in pottery wheels on Google. You pay $2 to get them to your site. They like what they see. You've done everything right, but more often than not, they're not going to buy instantly. They're going to search around, and a lot of people have no intentions to buy that same day. 2 weeks later, when they go to buy, they can't remember they just remember the product. So then they go and type in Google the product, and even if you have your ad there at the top for that product name, too many people will siphon away that person you've worked very hard to convince to buy, to where it chisels or it chips away enough money from the overall amount of money you would make if the person only could come back to your site and buy, to where the cost of advertising for pottery wheels is no longer profitable because somebody else who advertised for pottery wheels doesn't have that inefficiency in their sales and marketing system, which when it comes to PPC, respectively, you got to outcompete people. You can't just show up and just do what everybody else is doing, because 80%, roughly speaking, don't make little, if not any money. So you got to work a little bit harder to do a little bit more than the average. Granted, most people are lazy. It doesn't take much. You could just do what free information I give you on these videos to get your slight edge, and you could make money. But when you're starting out fundamentally with something that's flawed like that, you're better off, in my opinion, just stopping and reinventing your business model to have your own product, because at least you're not going to have that inefficiency in the system. Now, as I mentioned on other videos where I've talked about this before, if you're the sole distributor in like a whole country, let's say, or a whole region, exclusive distributor, that would not apply, because then obviously if they go to try to buy it from somebody else and they have it in their contract that they have to buy it from you, even if they go to somebody else's site, they force you to them to come back to you. Now that wouldn't apply, and it's a decent business model then. However, if you're starting out with little money, you usually have to buy a dedicated slot of being a distributor in a certain area. They're not just going to give that away. They're going to make sure you're serious about it, because there's 50 people who want it. And why would you not use, it's just like shelf space at a store. They auction that off to make sure the person who uses that is going to do a good job in representing a good product to the customer that looks appealing, and so that the overall store, everybody's doing as much as they can to make it appealing, have an appealing experience to the user, so that the overall store benefits from that. So you could get into that. So if you have less money, okay, respectively, what you do is you go to China, you order 100 products, which that's still going to cost you some money. You slap on, they will add your logo on it. You sell it as if it's your own, because that doesn't have inherent holes in the funnel, if you will, the marketing funnel that draws people in and get to bring in customers for PPC for your company. Now, you could start out with even less money selling somebody else's branded product on the flip side, given that, like I said, still people can go and buy it from someplace else. However, there's a little trick here in which you could trick people to, just to give you the clue how this is going to work, to make people think you are the key source of that branded product. So if they're going to buy it from anybody, they want to go to you first. And there's a legal, ethical, well, you can determine if it's ethical or not. That's always up to interpretation, way to make that happen for yourself. So you could sell somebody else's product and make it work, and not have the inefficiency of people going to someplace else 2 weeks later when they buy, and for you to get your feet wet in business, if you will, and not needing much money to do it. You could buy just a few of those products from the branded products, if you will. You don't have to buy a whole load. Usually if you're going to sell your own product, they want you to buy at least 100, if not 1,000 or 10,000 of those products, especially if they're going to put your logo on it. You'll always find they'll say minimum order is 100. You want your logo on it, you need at least 10,000 through like Alibaba or what have you. So anyway, that's a general overview of your options as to getting into business, selling a product online. And now I'm going to go into the actual method and execution of how you can make $100 a day or more selling somebody else's branded product, and using PPC ads, paid traffic, for online paid traffic, to sell it and have it work after all your expenses, including the ad cost, the product cost, whatever, added in. First step is to this overall plan that you can use starting today. Get a distributor's account at the product distributor at reference. So this is kind of not needed here, but you go to your branded company, you just ask for a distributor account. If you guys don't know, I'm just trying to make this so this is accessible to anybody. If you haven't ever done this before, if you want to sell Nike shoes, which you're not going to be able to sell their shoes without a crap load of money. A lot of times people still have buy-ins. We used to sell horticultural equipment, and they would want like $5,000 up front for your first order, just to weed the really, not serious people out. So a lot of people, though, they don't charge you anything to be able to sell their product. And then you just order from them, but they'll have an application, you fill it out. If you're in business at all, you have a legal business name, they'll let you sell. You get yourself an account, you get yourself some products, obviously. Way back in the day, respectively, with shipping times were as long as they were, you could order product, and then you could, after you've gotten a crap load of orders, you can't do that anymore. People's expectations on shipping times are too low. Just a funny side note, this was back in 2007. So you have that. Now you're in business. 2, make a site that says you're the US based distributor for X. So if you're selling, let's just use the indoor horticulture supplies. So you're basically growing tomatoes using grow lights, whatever. That's what that indoor horticulture stuff is. And you want to sell, and they have a company that sells a whole line of the indoor gardening products there. You are going to make a site that basically where you're claiming you're the US based distributor, or not you are. So a way to word this so that you get what you want to cross, the idea across, without actually crossing any legal barriers, if you will. US based distributor for Hydro Farm, which is one of the companies that we dealt with in the past. And what you do is you go to Hydro Farm's website and you mail me, because this is a start to finish method, so I'm assuming you have no site already. You're going to build yourself a site, and if you have a site, you're better off just starting from scratch anyway, or making a second site, whatever. You build that site to look like the branding in terms of the colors, the fonts, logos, everything, basically. Because if you're selling their product, generally speaking, by the way, they don't care if you use all their branding. You're selling their product. You've gotten the exclusive permission to sell their product, which is actually why I mentioned number 1. You don't want to do this without them knowing you're selling their product. Don't just pick it up at the store and start selling it, which you wouldn't work anyway because you couldn't get the prices. But anyway, on the site, at the top of the site, usually at the very top of the site, you have your logo here, and then you can have like a catchphrase or slogan, and then on the right side, your number. That's like the general formula that I use every time. Why? Because these are the main parts where people look first for these things. You don't want to reinvent the wheel. Don't get fancy with your stuff. It's going to hurt your conversion rates. If you want to try something wild, do it after you're already making money. But in that middle part, that's where you could say US-based distributor for Hydro Farm, even though there's other distributors of Hydro Farm out there. You're not the, we were talking about before, exclusive distributor. You are a distributor. You are saying you're US-based distributor for Hydro Farm. That sounds like, when you read it, it's like a word game. That you're the only one for all of the US, whereas really you're just one of many in the US, okay? Your site looks similar as Hydro Farm. Now, somebody comes to your site, they look like they're dealing with Hydro Farm directly without actually saying it. Now, that inefficiency I talked about before, where you've convinced the person, yeah, I want to buy your product. I had to wait to get paid on Friday. I got paid. I'm going to go and buy the Hydro Farm XYG, grow media. I type it in. I can't remember, basically what site I was on. Who gives a crap? I know, the product is the same either way. I buy it from the first one I see. They get the really good return click there because they're at the end of the sales process, as you don't. And then the more that happens, the less likely the advertising is affordable. Usually to make it unaffordable. Now, you are going to have a setup to where you are going to now become you're setting yourself up to patch that hole to where you become the so-called perceived default place where they would want to go for it. Not that they can only get it from, because there's still always going to be on Google people selling that product, but you become the most likely person that they want to click on and go to. That increases the amount of person that was intending to come back later to come to you that ultimately, not that they remember it, but you created a magnet of what, your ad gets clicked on more than anything else by like threefold, to the point where enough people are clicking on it, both somebody else that educated some other place, which you're still their customers, as well as people that you educated at the same time, to where you could afford to pay for somebody who's going to search for, hydro or grow media, get to your site, say that you sell hydrofarm, them knowing they want hydrofarm grow media, branded grow media, and then later on when they search for it, they click on your ad at a high enough rate in general, or just in general when they search for that with the brand name and the product, it's efficient enough and it works, if you will. So what do you put on your ad to actually create enough of a suck or magnet, if you will, to get people when they search for that branded product, which when they type in the brand name and the product name, they're very, very, very highly profitable terms. There's only so many people searching for it, but they're at the bottom of the sales funnel. So with this method, like I said, you're getting people that other people educated, and now you're just grabbing them at the last second, which means way higher returns than usual. But you could also still, with this method, advertise for people looking for the general category of what you sell. Why? Because eventually when they go to buy, they'll come back to your site anyway. What you say in the ad to get them to want to click on your ad, like 3 times the rate anybody else's ad is going to get clicked on when they search for your brand name and then the product name that you sell, is, well, first of all, you're going to bid on all the product brand terms you find. If you're selling a hydro farm product, you're going to do super intense research on every hydrofarm branded search that's made for every single product, like hydrofarm grow media, hydrofarm lights XYZJ. You're going to search on Google, suggested search, YouTube suggested search, Uber suggest, Google keyword tool. You're going to look at the meta keyword section in the source code of all your competitors who sell those products' websites. On and on and on. It'll take you a few days just to find all these searches. And of course, when they type in that individual term, you're going to have the headline. You're not going to screw around. You're going to go, first of all, to make this work, the first thing you do is you say exactly what they typed in. If they're looking for hydrofarm XJZ with 500 watts, that's exactly, and I mean exactly what you say in the headline to get them to want to naturally click on your ad first. So that's the first thing. But you also supercharge how many people are going to come naturally just directly to you in the situation where these searches are super profitable. You can make your ad say XYZ. Well, in our example I was talking about before, hydrofarm distributor official site R circles. That's like the restricted symbol. Now, why I use that? I just have years of split testing experience. I just know if you add a special character in there, which Google allows, it stands out even more. So when they see that, so they see the exact product they were searching for, so you're giving me exactly what I want, therefore I have to think as little as possible, which means I'm going to have a higher click-through rate on that because you're making it easy for me not to have to think. And then if I was in question as to who I'm dealing with, if I'm going to read more of the ad, which some people won't read anymore, but the ones that do, you're saying, this is the official site, so therefore, of course, if I'm going to buy it, I want to buy it from this one. This looks like it's Hydrofarm's official site, which there's nothing against you saying official site. So it's just like, if you're looking for a reason to stay broke, you could say this is, oh, that's wrong, you can't do that. Stuff, when you're starting out with little money, you don't have a lot of options, okay? So, it's up to you. You could get even edgier though. And you could say, Hydrofarm US official site, being Hydrofarm United States, right? Official site. So they're thinking this is the official distributor site or Hydrofarm itself in the US. So if I'm in the US, obviously I want that one. And then when they go to the site, in either case, whatever you said here in the ad, whichever version, whether you got the cojones to do this or the other one, like I said, on the site, you have the logo, and then your saying here. Whatever one you use, the saying in between the logo and the top header bar and the phone number is that saying, so that they get secondary confirmation of what they came for right there. So obviously they see that, and you have to obviously, if they're looking for that 500 watt bulb, you take them directly to that product. So on a keyword by keyword basis, you're going to have to map out, here's all the terms, branded terms I found. Here's the most likely page they should go to, which is the product page. Sometimes it'll be a category page. Sometimes, a lot of people don't think about this, but you could use the search results function of your website, and you can type in hydrofarm, like if the keyword is hydrofarm 500 watts, and it's not specific of a product, type in hydrofarm 500 watts in the search bar. The search results that are there, usually could just take the URL and copy that, and that's your ad destination URL. So you're taking them, and then, so because ultimately in most e-commerce sites, right there in the headline, it'll then say hydrofarm 500 watts, so they can see, okay, I was searching for hydrofarm 500 watts, the ad said it, and now the landing page says it. By having all your stars aligned like that, your quality scores go up a lot, your conversion rates go up a lot. This is just basic general best practices anyway. So regardless of what you're doing with PPC, you want to do all that stuff anyway, because it usually 2 to 3x is the ROI, the quality score increases you get, and the increase in conversion rate you get from them not being confused and not having to think. As a side note, if you want to understand, you got to understand user psychology. If you want to be a good marketer, look up the book, Don't Make Me Think. It'll teach you a lot about web design and how to make sites that make a lot of money. But it all comes down to giving me what I want without having to think, or as little as possible, because I don't want to think. I'm tired. I just want the answer spoon-fed to me and being intuitive. But the more you can do that versus the competitor, the more and more of a gap you're going to have between you and them, to the point where if you do it enough, they can afford to compete with you for what traffic's out there, because you just have that much more of an efficient model. So there you go. Anyway, moving forward. So that's your general model. You're going to siphon off all this low-hanging fruit, branded traffic in a situation where you'll get a bunch of it naturally. And once you've picked all the branded search traffic, you can go after people looking for general traffic that don't have a specific brand mentioned, right? And you can get them to come to your site, convince them that the product you have in stock, in which you have a distributor account for, is basically a good option for them, and they should come back when they decide. You always remarket to them. I'm going to have in the remarketing product reviews, product testimonials of that specific product. And yes, that takes a lot of time, but if you think about it from the user's perspective, if I don't buy yet, I'm not sure if that product's for me. So I'm going to want to see what the reviews of that product are. In this situation, I don't need to do reviews of the company itself, because they have to trust your company and they have to trust the product itself. In this case, they think you are the company itself, so you don't need ads that give reviews of your company overall, just the product. And you're going to do that on a product by product basis, which is all possible to set up. You could just have a template you use for each product, so you could save time that way. And you'll double the amount of ROI you're going to get from somebody searching for your products that are not using a branded term by having that remarketing. So a lot of times it's just necessary to make money. And you have something that should be profitable enough without advanced marketing knowledge as a business right then and there. Bam. You can do with Shopify anymore. You don't need to be a genius to do all this. Just sell a branded product, make the site look like the company, and do exactly what I told you. Now, to expand things even further, what I would recommend is you, additionally going on to number 4 here, do 10 pieces of content. Reviews work the best, and sprinkle them around the web pointing back to your site. So basically, what you do is you do a review of the products that you sell. It can just be a video review. Here's the 500 watt light bulb. It has this, it's great for this. You obviously have to have some industry knowledge to do a decent review, which If you're going to get into this business, you're going to add value to the consumer enough to command some money coming to you, then this should be done anyway. No, you don't get automated income by adding no value into the consumer, in product to consumer chain. But you do a review there, and you put the review on YouTube, okay? People that are going to search for that product name, they see the review, and then you say in the video, if you want to buy this product, we'll give you 5% off your order. Here's the discount code that you can use on the site. If you're watching this video, it's also a link to the description, a link to the product in the description, okay? And respectively, you can do upwards of 10 different reviews of the individual product itself. You're not going to do just you doing the review each time. You're going to pay influencers to also review the product, and you're going to have a similar setup. I reviewed the product, and the company to buy the product, there's a discount. You don't say that the company itself, the manufacturer, is giving you the discount code. You just leave it to their own devices to figure out what's going on. So in other words, you can have an influencer in that space review the product and say, if you want a 10% discount on this product, you just use this discount code, and to help us out, you should click this link. They go to the site. They think they're buying from the manufacturer itself. They're not. And then you get an order that way. So you can have upwards of 10 different reviews per product. I know that sounds like a lot, so you don't have to start out with this, but this is just a way to layer on more profit for what you're making there, what you've set up, than you had before. And why 10 reviews? Well, basically, you have 10 reviews from different sources. The other most profitable way to get traffic in an e-commerce space for a branded product is when somebody types in the Hydrofarm 500 watt bulb XJS, assuming that's the product part number, reviews. And with 10 different reviews, since nobody really probably has a review even for that exact product, you've loaded and just basically seeded or juiced the research results. So you own all the search results for all that very, very low-hanging fruit traffic. Go after just those searches, and with that, they see the review, they're all leading back to your site again. Other very profitable sources of traffic that I would also go for is people typing in the brand name at Amazon, brand name Walmart if it exists, also brand name and coupon code. Those are all extremely high ROI opportunities when you have this selling branded products as your business model. Beyond that, you could do, like I said, you can go after people looking indiscriminately. They're not, in other words, using a branded term. They're just typing in grow lights, and you could try to monetize that. But that's way harder than anything else in that list of different traffic sources there. You're talking about 3 to 5 times harder to monetize that. If you're good at PPC, it's possible to monetize it, absolutely. But for people starting out, you may just want to save up your money from those other things, which you could easily do. Save up 50 grand and then go after that top, that middle to top level traffic where they're just, trying to do research and not ready to, they haven't fully committed to anything yet. And because you're going to need data, you're going to need to advertise on, 500 watt grow lights as a term, and it's profitable, but it's only profitable because when they're searching on desktop and you're talking about males and you're talking about anybody from 35 to 45 and you're talking about they're from California and on the West Coast versus the rest of the US. And when you add in all those but, now it's profitable. The only way that you're going to understand that about your market totally, and it's going to vary, a little bit product by product, is you just run the ads, you gather the data, and Google tells you all about the customers you got. So once you get one customer, you automatically know all those traits about the customer. You get enough customers, you know the 80% of what you spent there, which is about what it'll be, that wouldn't ever return the kind of ROI that you need to pay for the ads and the product costs and everything else to even do it at all. Or be willing to pay way, way less, which is what I do. I just downgrade the bid 50%, 60, 70, 80. I'll take, if I can still get some clicks from Google from those other, demographics, I'll take it. But it's not about if it will work, it's just about how much. There's some chunk of every one of those keywords in your space that will make a profit after your expenses. But you're not going to find it until you've invested the money into getting some data. And respectively, once you've done all those other things, you've already making money, you can take 10 or 20% of your profit and just invest it into those other traffic sources, which you're not expecting to make money for a long time, 6 months, whatever. Just to gather some data, just consider it money gone down the tubes. You're not expecting it to work right away. People want things to work right away. They say, oh, after a month, oh, it's not working already. It doesn't work. No. It's about the details, man, or woman. So, and you can get into the, give it more about it, if you will. With those reviews, once they watch one review and they've come to your site, what I'm automatically going to do is I'm going to have other remarketing ads show up for all my other reviews, because it's all relevant. If I have 10 reviews for that product, why wouldn't I want the person to watch the other 9? The more of them they watch, the more statistically likely they're going to buy my product. That's just how it works. If they get back to the site the second time, they're twice as likely to purchase. If you come back to the site the third time after watching a third review, they're almost another twice as likely to buy, and it keeps going. A little bit less each time, but respectively, you could set that up and it's all automatically running once it's set up. So that's what I'm going to do along with this, and what I would recommend if you do make those reviews, because that's not that much harder to do, and get you a bunch more sales than you would, assuming that person is going to watch the review and buy, which some will, but you'll get way more. You tempt them with other reviews that will further reassure they weren't quite completely all the way convinced on the first one, but they would have to watch another 1 or 2. And that's what you got. You guys, there are so many people that sell products out there, whether it's a hot sauce that they came up with, lots of food products, people that make, chicken waters, like, they are making custom electronics. These people have no idea how to do sales and marketing. Their website sucks ass, and you could make a website that actually is easy, like the don't make me think thing I told you about before, that they don't have any clue what to do. You make that site naturally, even if they have the other site, you bid on all their brand terms, you're getting all the web orders. So if they're actually sharing it in some web forum and they're building a name, when that person goes to buy, now instead of going to their site, almost all of it's going directly to you. So it's like an easy way to make a bunch of money without a lot of money invested in advertising, because the branded terms convert at such a high rate, in which if you put $1,000 into advertising already, after $1,000 you've already made 5,000 back. It's already profitable already. And so you're not going to get that with big established brands, but what you can do is you can repeat this for other products. So I recommend, like I said, this for people who are just starting out in web marketing, they're just trying to get their feet wet. Find a low-key branded product that's run by probably just one guy that ships the product out himself. Offer to make the website. You need to get a distributor contract in place so that once you're selling all this crap for them, they can't later on say, I don't want you to sell it anymore. No, you want to be locked in for 10 years. Because once they start getting busy, they're like, I can do that. I see this people do this all the time. It's idiotic, by the way, to try to cut your retailers out and try to do it yourself. It's not as easy as it looks, guys. Just focus on making the product and finding new ways to make more products, not to actually get upset somebody's selling the product for you and taking a cut, which seems like for no work, which you don't see all the work that they put in to actually get the site to where it is, and also doing the answering questions for you that you don't have to mess with. And you could just start building up an inventory of different sites. Do it for 10, 20 companies. Yes, you'll have to learn how to do customer service for 20 different companies, but those people will all basically have no problem with you selling what they sell, and the whole amount, the amount of people who come automatically to you to buy when they search for what they are selling will be way, way, way greater than if you do it for a bigger site, like I mentioned Hydrofarm, which is a pretty big company. If you do it there, maybe when they search for a branded term and the product name, they'll click on my ad. With everything I told you, they'll click on your ad like 3 times higher rate than anybody else's. That's like a given. But if you do it for a really small company, like I said, that don't have any distributors yet, 95% of the people will be coming to you. And nobody, once they get to your site, will buy from anybody else once they've gotten there, which is the other opportunity. So you could do higher level, searches. If they sell chicken waterers, you can now advertise on chicken waterers, get them to your site, and pretty much know that you don't have to worry about them buying from somebody else because now you're the only person to go to. So anyway, I thought that was a pretty cool money-making method that I've seen other people doing. They're not scaling it from what I have seen, but I've seen a lot of people that have a site, they have a distributor account. They're doing pretty much what I'm saying here. They're looking like the US-based site, which really they're not. They're just, they're a distributor in the US with the same branding. Therefore, it looks like you're going with the official site and they're making a few $1 million a year. They can't really scale past that, mainly because they don't want to put in this extra work with reviews and stuff, which they would go even further. But they're making it, $2-3 million a year. They're happy. Can be scaled, especially if you added more brands. So go out there and try it. I have a lot of other money-making strategy videos on this channel about doing other PPC money-making methods. You can see on this channel. If you haven't seen any of my other videos and watched those, you should definitely check them out. I have a blog at guaranteeppc.com/blog with step-by-step instructions on how to build campaigns the way I personally build them for our clients and to guarantee their results. If you like information that's a little bit more detailed, you can find it there. If you have any questions about anything I covered today about this money-making strategy, I want to get into business doing this for yourself. Don't know how you think there's something I should have covered and didn't. Leave me a comment below. I get back to every single person who leaves me a comment on this channel personally within a day or two. But with all that said, I think I'll leave it with that, and I hope that you see it. Watch my next video that comes out in a day or two with another money-making PPC strategy for you.